What's going on, guys? I'm Coach Cade, and today we are spectating my friend and teammate Halo, who is a Diamond 2 Mercy main on console. You can still go out that top door if your Pharah decides to back out. I'm glad that you're pocketing her, though. Basically, if you're playing Mercy and you have a Pharah, you have to pocket her, or else Pharah is kind of useless. So this is good. Try to stay with your Pharah. See, now you don't even know where your Pharah is. Your Ryan should be okay by himself, for at least for a little bit. Yeah, so typically you don't really want to be playing up with your tank as a Mercy. Your Reinhardt should mostly be okay. Worst case scenario, you have your Kiriko that can go and help him out, right? So she can teleport over there if he really needs it. But you as a Mercy should mostly be sticking with your Pharah. Mercy's best playstyle is pocketing a DPS, and since you have a Pharah, that's just an easy person to pocket. Pretty much guaranteed the best thing to do is just stay with your Pharah and help her get value. If she's staying up there, or like your soldier, if the Pharah's back here and your soldier's up there, then just damage boost your soldier while he plays up there. The Rhine should be fine. And then you trying to get back to your team because you were with the Rhine, it caused you to die, so just stay with your DPS. Yes, this is perfect. Just damage boost the visor. You're staying on the ground a lot. You don't necessarily have to be walking around. If there's not anyone around, it's usually safer just to be floating around, or at least just standing behind a corner and waiting. You can go for that res. You can actually get behind the wall. So, right there, it was a little bit unsafe. Mercy's res lets you res from pretty far away. If you start resing, you can go farther than you would normally be able to and continue the res. Like, you can't really start a res from behind this corner, right? But you can definitely start the res and then go either behind this corner or go behind the cart, and you'll be a lot safer than standing in the open. You're okay now, but you did get pretty low. So just typically remember that you're able to res from farther away than you're able to start the res. That's how people get like super jump reses and stuff. You should probably stay with your Pharah here. Yeah, now your Pharah is going off alone. And she's dead. Yeah, so remember, always pocket the Pharah if you have a Pharah. Stay with her as much as physically possible. You can go for that res. You could have stuck it. They couldn't have gotten to you in time. And now you're just looping around. Again, if both your DPS are dead, probably stay with the Reinhardt. Because the Kiriko can't really do much on her own. So your Pharah is back. You should probably go back to pocketing her. Glad you're with your Pharah now. Yep. You should, yep, go damage boost. You can get that res if you stay behind the cart. So the reason you got slept here is that you were kind of just running around on the ground. Besides damage boost, the best way you can get value with Mercy is with your movement. So staying alive and not getting hit. Because a Mercy flying around through the air is pretty hard to hit. Especially if you're like just dodging back. You can just fly to someone and like keep guarding, angeling back. Or like do reverse super jumps. And so you should try to be staying in the air whenever you can. And you running around on the ground like that just makes you a much easier target. And as a Mercy, you should never be an easy target. Yeah, you could have escaped with your soldier. Oh no, you're both dead. So it's all about the movement. You really just need to like be able to fly around forever. The best Mercies, like all the Mercies in Grandmaster Top 500, they never die. You look at the end of the game, they have between like 0 and 2 deaths for the whole game, just because they have such good movement. See right here, you just running around and hopping around. Really, you want to be just like floating and stuff. There's a lot of ways that you can practice movement. And now you've left your team. You leave your team a lot. You should try not to leave your team so much. You should practice, like, doing sideways super jumps and stuff to, like, stay with your team as much as possible. And you just jumped into their line of fire. So, wow, the fact that you survived was crazy. So now, since you don't have a Pharah, you should probably just pocket your soldier as much as possible. And don't worry about healing whenever your team only needs a little bit of heals. When your Reinhardt or your Junkrat only needs a little bit of heals, just damage boost. Forget about it. Let your Kiriko deal with him. They'll be okay. The damage boost is a lot more valuable to you than a little bit of healing. And also, you get ult charge for damage that other people deal, so you're not even like necessarily building your ult faster by healing. When you could be damage boosting, you still get ult charge. So if you need to damage boost someone, like if you're trying to damage boost your soldier and still stay safe, I can see that the reason you're not constantly damage boosting him is because you're trying to play safe and kind of be behind this little box. But as Mercy, you have some, like, your movement is crazy. You can, one thing you can do is Guardian Angel over to him and damage boost him, keep the beam on him, and bounce back. So you do a reverse super jump and just, like, it keeps your beam on him, and then you just, like, fly to him again, and you just repeatedly go forward and back, and it keeps the beam on him because the beam stays on for a certain amount of time after you get out of range. And so you can keep the beam on him and just keep going back and forth. And that way you're staying safe and staying in the air while you're still able to damage boost him. Your Kiriko's fine. Don't worry about her. Yeah. Like, you're Ryan on that low health, be damage boosting your soldier here. And see that now your soldier's dead. You don't need to worry about your Ryan when he's only down 50 to 100 health. He's okay. Let your Kiriko deal with that. Keep damage boosting your DPS. I would be careful about going Battle Mercy while there's a Reinhardt in your background. Yeah. Probably just damage boost here. You're also healing a lot, so you spent a long time there not even looking at your team and healing while your Zarya was like pretty much at full health and your whole team was pretty healthy. You really want to be keeping that damage boost on. Mercy's ult when your whole team is damage boosted is really difficult to deal with because you have a whole team of people being damage boosted. And at that moment, your team didn't need heals. You should probably stay on the beam a little bit more. And by the beam, I mean the damage boost, of course. Again, like, yeah. You don't have to top people off. No one has to be at full health all the time. With Mercy, you'll get a lot more value from just damage boosting. Let the cart finish him. If they can finish getting healed by the cart, then you don't need to worry about it. Yeah, especially with a Pharah, you want to be staying with your soldier. I'm glad you went to him once the round started. One thing that I've noticed is you are healing a lot. A tip that I've heard from a lot of high-level Mercy players is that you should be trying to get at least 2,000 damage amplified every game. No matter what kind of game mode it is, controller, whatever. You should try to get at least 2,000. And so, when you press tab, you can see how much you're damage boosting. You want that to be pretty high. Yeah, you let your Kiriko deal with that. You don't have to heal all that. Stay with your soldier. Till he commits suicide. You're spending a lot of time hiding. So, with Mercy, you're spending a lot of time hiding and ducking away from danger, which is fine. You don't want to get shot or sniped or whatever. But usually you should try to avoid danger with your movement and by, like, being a really hard target to hit, not necessarily just being hidden. Because you still want to be able to give value to your team, either by healing or damage boosting, so you don't want to be hiding as much. You're breaking line of sight of your teammates a lot and just kind of running around. Really, you should be trying to damage boost and like stay in, and you can do that by just flying around everywhere, and you'll get used to that once you practice movement and stuff. But you should pretty much always be in the air, unless you're totally safe behind a barrier somewhere. Or wall. Yeah, I like this. See, you're staying in the air here. And you avoided the shatter by flying. Hope you thanked your Kiriko. You might want to also practice super jumps, because in a situation like that, if you are going to try to go for a really risky res, and you don't have a Suzu or whatever, and you don't know if your Kiriko will hit it, then super jump resing is pretty much the only other way that you can survive. I like this. Mercy's a great recontester. You can float back to point and just kind of dodge back and forth. And you broke line of sight of your teammates again, yeah. Something that might help is adjusting your like beam accuracy or whatever. You can change that in order to more easily latch onto certain people. But that's all personal preference and settings and stuff. Probably be with your soldier here. Your Junkrat doesn't really need a damage boost. He deals enough damage on his own. Yeah, you're breaking line of sight a lot with your teammates in order to stay safe. But probably just, leave that to your movement to save yourself. Okay, so that's over. So, Halo, I have a couple tips for you. One is mostly try to pocket your DPS and forget about your tank. Your tank, not completely. Don't like be really mean about it, but like you should not be topping off your tank. That's not your job. Your job is not to keep your tank perfectly healthy 100% all the time. As Mercy, your primary objectives are to keep your other support alive, which lets you do number 2, which is pocket your DPS. So Mercy's value comes from pocketing a DPS and giving that damage boost. She doesn't heal as much per second as other healers do, as much as Kiriko, Bap, or Ana, or any of them. She doesn't heal that much. She only heals for 50 per second. So damage boost is where her value is from. And so you need to be trying to keep your other support alive so that you don't have to do as much healing, and then pocketing your DPS. And then the other thing is with movement, you want to be able to move as much as possible, right? And so the easiest way to do that on console, because I get you're on console, which can make movement a little bit more difficult. But I recommend switching your jump key, if you're playing with the controller, because if you have it on A, I'm not sure what your keybinds are, but if you have it on A, it can be difficult because you can't look around and jump at the same time, and you kind of need to jump around in the air a lot as Mercy. And so I would say switch it to something like left trigger, which I think is your Guardian Angel. Not Guardian Angel, it's your levitate ability, whichever that is. And so I would recommend switching it to something easier to hit, not with your right thumb, so that you can actually jump while looking around. And that lets you have a lot more opportunities for movement. Other than that, pretty good. Just remember, keep that damage boost up and try to move a lot more and be more active. Like and subscribe if you found this helpful. There are more guides coming your way.